Welcome back to Water Gap Country Club. My name is Dustin McCormick. I'm the teaching professional here. Today we're going to be talking about recovery shots, okay, troubleshooting. Every golfer in the world, no matter how good, is always going to hit the ball into the trees or into some form of trouble other than just the rough. When that happens, you need to know how to play out of it. Today we're going to be talking about your risk and reward shots, how to hit the ball low, how to hit the ball high out of trouble, as well as just to punch it out and make your five. And we've hit a drive over into the left side of the trees. We're on the 15th hole here at Water Gap. And what you can see is a couple different things. First of all, I can see the pin from here through a shoot in the trees. But that's definitely not a high percentage shot. It's a pretty tight gap, and I'm a good 160 yards or so away from the pin. That's really not going to help the situation. Now on the other side, right over here, I can see the fairway clear as day. Little easy punch-out shot, I can hit my third shot to the green. This is the option you have to make in golf. The key is the term risk-reward, okay? Now, first of all, if I'm laying one here and bogey is not a bad number for me, if bogey's a really good score, then what I want to do is I want to punch the ball back out to the fairway, get myself in position where I can hit the third shot onto the green, and then I can maybe hit two putts for my bogey, maybe even save a par if I'm lucky, okay? The second option is the risk and reward. We're here to be shooting something through these trees, trying to get it on or close to the green, almost assuring myself of a par if I get through the gap. That's the choice you have to make. Now, the smart play is to find the fairway. But in some situations, if you're playing in a tournament or if you're, playing in some kind of game with your buddies where you actually have to pull off a shot, sometimes punching out to the fairway isn't your option. In that case, you got to go with the risk and reward shot. Now, what we're going to do is talk about both, okay? If you're punching out to the fairway, it's very, very simple. If we'd set up in here, I'm going to pick out a line, a target where I want the ball to land, and I'm just going to hit a little chip shot with a 7 or an 8 iron, something very simple, something to punch. So I'm going to set up, weights on my left foot, back in my stance, and just hit a little bit of a punch shot, get myself something back out to the fairway where now I have a shot at the green. All right, that's a very simple play. It's very safe. It's going to eliminate the chance of a big number. The next option I have is the risk shot, okay, where if we don't pull it off, the ball hits a tree, we don't know where it's going to go, but if it doesn't hit a tree and it gets through there, we're going to pull off a pretty good shot. So a couple things we have to think about. Now, A, I need to keep the ball low. If I do that, that means I'm going to have to put the ball back in my stance and really drive down through the golf ball, okay? The other trick to this shot is I'm going to want to pick an intermediate target, which we've talked about before in our lessons. Something about 6 inches in front of the ball that is in a direct line with that gap, okay? That's going to make your alignment situation a lot easier, and this way you're not going to be really concerned about hitting a tree because you know where you're aiming as long as you hit it square. So I get behind the golf ball and I pick out an intermediate target. For this instance right here, I'm picking out this spot of grass right here, which is in that line. I set up into the ball, put the ball back in my stance. I'm lined up through that gap, and now I'm really going to drive down through the golf ball, and I'm going to try to keep it under the trees and try to get it somewhere up around the green. That's the intended goal. It's running, and I think it is on the green. So we pulled it off, all right? Now that shot right there worked out pretty well. I snuck it right through the gap, all right? It took about 4 or 5 bounces, started to roll, got up onto the green. I got a good chance at saving par from there, okay? Here's the real battle though, all right? If I don't pull that off and it hits a tree, I could be farther over to 16 fairway. I could be right back on my feet. There's 100 options you don't know. That's why we call it risk and reward. Now we're going to go look at a different spot where maybe we can't go low, where we're blocked out, we have to go high. We're going to teach you about trajectories and how to pull off a shot that needs to get up in the air. Now we're on the 16th fairway where I have accidentally hit my drive from the 17th tee. I blocked it way right, and I've been here many times before playing the gap. Sometimes we can't go low. In this situation here, what you can see is you can probably see the top of the flagstick, but that really isn't a key shot at this point. I don't think a punch shot's going to get through there. I got a lot of limbs overhanging, a lot of ways I can get in a lot of trouble. It's something we're going to want to avoid. In this case, sometimes we have to look up. One of the things I learned as a really small kid playing golf, taking lessons, was always look up. Sometimes you can really get a feel for what's coming. Now in this hole here, we actually have a gap up in the trees that'll put us somewhere near the center of the green if we get the right distance. Now as far as distance from the green goes, we're about 80 yards from the green here. So I have a sand wedge. Now a neat trick for you with a sand wedge, okay, is very simple, or any club. If you would take the golf club and lay it down flat on the ground like that, where you step on the head and keep it flat, that angle that the shaft creates is the trajectory the ball is going to come off at if hit well, okay? So obviously if you catch it heavy or you catch it thin, it's not going to go at this height. But if you catch the ball pure, that's the angle at which this shot's going to go. That's about the same exact angle as I need to get up on that spot there. In this case, That's a shot I'm going to use. I'm going to hit a sand wedge, and I'm going to try to hit it about 80 yards. Now, everything else is the same. What I want to do is I want to pick out an intermediate target right in front of me, about 6 inches, so I get behind the ball to look, okay? I'm going to pick out a nice intermediate target right up through that gap, all right? I got my spot right about here, okay? Then when I set up, the real only difference, okay, is that I'm going to keep the ball a little more forward in my stance. This isn't anymore a punch shot. We want to get the ball up in the air. So we slightly move it forward to add a little bit of loft, and then all I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to hit the shot. Okay, the good news is that is on the green. That's what we want, okay? So when in reference to hitting any kind of trouble shot, we have a couple choices. First of all, you can always play safe and punch out. That's key. That's so when in reference to hitting any kind of trouble shot, we have a couple choices. First of all, you can always play safe and punch out. If you're in a spot like this, number two, look low. We don't want to hit it low because we can hit it into the hazard. That's when you have to look up. If you can do all three of these things, you're going to get through troubleshooting. We don't want to hit it low because we can hit it into the hazard. That's when you have to look up. If you can do all three of these things, you're going to get through troubleshooting real quick.